Hello, and welcome to Productivity for Solopreneurs, where every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Central Time, I share insights to getting things done. So, welcome. So, today is live number 109, and the topic is why I unsubscribed half of my emails from my email list last month. So, if you're here, let me know if you've done anything like that before. You can just say yes or no in the comments. And it's just to be interesting to see if anyone else has done this. So anyway, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Evie Burke, and I work with women entrepreneurs and I help them take their productivity to a new level. They're overwhelmed, they are exhausted by all of the things that they want to do in their business every single day. And they're not interested or able in working, 9 or 12 or more hour days. It's just not for them. Instead, they want to be fully present in everything that they're doing, whether it's after hours, with their family or their friends, where they're fully present with them, or in their business, where they can just be fully present and not have to worry about, what's coming next or am I going to get this done? They know they have a plan. So I help them create the insightful, impactful solutions that help them do that. It helps them get their high priority projects and tasks completed so they can grow their business easily or with ease and do it with confidence and become the high achievers that they know they can be and they want to be. So, excuse me, going going into the topic, last month I unsubscribed half of the emails from my email list. And it scared me. It really kind of freaked me out. I don't have a large list, and I kind of didn't want to do anything that would make that already kind of small list, in my eyes anyway, even smaller. But when I made that change and it took effect, my open rate went from 17% to over 30%. And if I would have shared those numbers with you, if I would have titled this something like, the one change that I made that improved my open rate from 17% to 30%, what would you have thought I did? Would you have assumed that I unsubscribed a bunch of people from my newsletter list? Or maybe would you have wondered if I had figured out some magic way of writing a subject line that made people want to open all my emails? Or maybe I found like the absolute perfect time to send an email where, you know, most everyone on your list suddenly starts opening it. Yeah, no. I didn't do any of those things, but this just illustrates why it's really important when people share information with you, when they share statistics with you, that you know the other things that are going on, whether it's in their business or in their personal life, or especially with statistics. What is it that they're actually measuring, and what changes facilitated that statistic moving in whatever direction that they want to be moving? Quick side note here, this also is a good place to talk about, oh, I just had it on the tip of my tongue. But the difference between, it's about how things are related. So two things can both happen based on the same thing, but one doesn't impact or one doesn't cause the other. It's causation versus, um, I don't remember the other word, but causation is where one thing causes another. So, you know, what happens at the same time, ice cream sales go up and shootings go up. But you can't say that ice cream sales cause drive-by shootings, right? Because those, and you can't do it the other direction, even though they tend to increase at the same time. What's actually happening is as the temperatures increase, there are more ice cream sales, and there tend to be more drive-by shootings. So the cause is the nicer weather, people being outside more in both of those cases, but they're not directly tied. So there's not a causation. One does not cause the other. And I say that because a lot of times somebody will say, 80% of high achievers get up at 4 a.m. Well, Yes, but is there really causation there? Is the 4 a.m. getting up or being up at 4 a.m. really causing that success in those high achievers? Lots of people get up early. No, you need more information around it. That's a whole nother live that I've done before, so I'm gonna move on back onto the topic that we're talking about. But if we go back to my example, unsubscribing a bunch of people from my email list, it doesn't tell you the whole story, right? But neither does telling you my open rate, the 17% to the 30%. But when you put those two things together, you start to get a little bit of a better picture about what's going on there, right? Um, you understand then that, okay, the reason the open rate went up is she unsubscribed so many people from her list, which naturally, almost doubled her open rate. And so the full story, though, of why I unsubscribed so many people from my email list is that the emails that were going to those addresses weren't being opened anymore. And some of them hadn't been opening emails for over a year. And there's any number of reasons why that might have happened. I know from going through the list that there were a few old emails there, people that I personally know that I know they don't use that email address anymore. And maybe they're on my list with the other one, maybe they're not. But there's also people who maybe they've changed businesses. And so my emails just aren't of interest anymore. There's any number of reasons why they're not opening them. But I decided to start a re-engagement campaign that asks people if they want to continue being on my email list if they haven't opened any emails from me in the last 90 days. I figured that was a good period of time to really figure out, how engaged somebody is. If they haven't opened anything in 90 days or 3 months, then maybe it's just better to unsubscribe them from the list. And then they can always say, no, I still want to get the emails, and we can do that. So if they don't open the emails and indicate that they want to stay subscribed, then they're automatically unsubscribed. And this is a system or a process that I thought of putting into place for about a year. Like, I was thinking about it. Did I want to, go through and remove people from my list, people who weren't opening emails? Did I maybe not want to? But I was always too scared to pull the trigger. And it just seemed like the good time to do it, just to go through and clean it up and improve that open rate. When the first drop happened, it did kind of make me sad to be like, oh, so many people off the list, but at the same time they weren't engaged. It didn't matter. And I will tell you, when I saw the open rate improve, it kind of made me feel good. And it energetically, I think it was a lot better for me to let those people go and not have to think about, why aren't they opening? Why can't my open rate be higher? But instead let go of the people that weren't opening and just focusing on the people who are engaged. And I think overall that's just healthier, right? So, if my question for you is, if you have an email list, well, I guess this isn't a question for you. This kind of goes back to like my frustration, like my being scared, right? Generally, the thought is, if you have an email list, you want it to continue to grow and not get smaller. And there's really a lot of different reasons why the goal of making your email list bigger kind of misses the mark. One of them being that having an engaged smaller list is a lot better than having a large list with low engagement. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't end up with a large list with high engagement, but that does still mean you need to have that high engagement, that you need to be, letting people go from your list when they're not engaged. But it's still a hard thing to do, because if you don't do it, then you'd have even a bigger list, right? And I know for me, I was so tied to that number. I so was tied to that number. And, just thinking, well, if somebody asks what my email numbers are, I want to be able to, at least have this many, and I just have about that many, and I really don't want to make it lower. But when it comes down to it, the same number of people opened my list or opened my email last week as they did the week before. So it didn't matter. The same number of people were seeing the email. Whether it was sent to twice as many people or not, the same number of people opened them. And all I did was stop sending the email to people or emails that weren't engaged anymore. And I'll say it again for emphasis, the same number of people opened that email opened that newsletter last week as they had the week before, right? So that didn't change when when I unsubscribed, half the list. It's just the number of people I was sending it to changed. And so then, because of the way percentages work, the percentage went up. So what can you, sorry, hit a pen. What can you do with this information? I'm not necessarily encouraging you to go and look at, how can you unsubscribe half the people from your email list, or even how can you figure out, who you want to unsubscribe or do a re-engagement campaign. What I do want to encourage you to do is look at what system or change in your business are you resisting putting into place. So for me, it was doing this re-engagement campaign because I knew it was going to result in fewer people on my list. What is it for you? So if you have a system or a change in your business that you want to put in place, but maybe you, again, are having some of that resistance, or maybe the resistance is you just don't know how to do it, then, let's figure that out. I can help you figure that out. The easiest way to do that is for you to apply for coaching, and you can do that at the link that I'll include over in the description. It's on the Work With Me page on my website. So I also would love to know, what questions do you have? Do you enjoy these types of email where I share this is a video, these videos where I share a little bit about what I'm doing behind the scenes? What topics might you want more of along these lines? So anyway, until next week, much love.